the last 48 hours since the International Court of Justice ordered Israel to halt its genocidal siege on Rafah, Israel has dropped more than 60 bombs. Bombs paid for by my tuition, bombs paid for by this institution, bombs paid for by the University of Toronto. And in spite of all of this, despite all the horrors and atrocities we are seeing every single day, for the last 234 days, U of T continues to tell us they cannot make commitments, and that we must go through bureaucratic committees that will lead us nowhere. But we do not have time for committees. We do not have time to wait. There is a genocide ongoing right now. We need commitments right now. We need commitments to divest, to disclose, and to cut ties with Israeli academic institutions. If you open your eyes to what is happening in Rafah and what's already happened across Gaza, the West Bank, you will understand why we have no choice but to continue negotiations until all our demands are met. In a CBC radio interview, President Gertler stated, and I quote, "Negotiations are ongoing." And so here we are, as students, faculty, and staff, and members of the U of T community, steadfast in our demand for divestment, having received a trespassing notice, having been threatened by this institution with academic repercussions, including suspension and expulsion, threatened faculty members with termination. Shame. Knowing that as I speak to you this morning, U of T is in court seeking an injunction and has hired a notorious employment law firm to defend its claims. Shame. All in an effort to allow Toronto police to come in and raid this encampment and to put his own students in severe danger, simply because U of T refuses to acknowledge, let alone divest from Israeli apartheid. Shame. But again, we have no choice other than to continue our negotiations and ensure U of T is no longer complicit in this genocide. And so, here we are, here we will be, here we will continue to be, and demanding divestment.
It has been during the last 7 months, throughout all this death and destruction, reckoning with the fact that my family businesses in our ancestral homes in the north have been destroyed, that I came across social media posts from strangers announcing the deaths of my family members before I can hear it from my own family, listening to my dad tell me that all he wants to do is go and stay in the tents in the south just so he can be with his people, and coming to terms with the fact that I will never see Gaza the way that my parents knew it.
Our tax dollars and your tuition dollars fund these grounds. This is your space. This is our space. And first and foremost, this is Indigenous space. When we see institutions and organizations attempting to control what is said through threats and organizations attempting to use intimidation, I don't like it that much, in spaces that belong to us all, then labor must be there. Also here, along with so many other workers, to show our solidarity with you in the same way that you have shown the people of Gaza. So on Saturday, you may have heard, we sent an open letter to Mr. Gertler, the president of the University of Toronto. We urged him to choose negotiations and discussions over ultimatums and repression. I ended my letter by saying that if the University of Toronto makes a move against the students, they'll have to go through the workers first. But don't take my word for it. I don't want you to take my word for it. I want each of you to look around and see that there are unions from here, workers from unions across the province. We've got Steel, we've got UFCW, we've got OPSU, we've got EDCO, we've got CUPE, we've got CFS. And each of those people represents thousands more that weren't going to be able to be here today. It is deep. The power of workers is deep. There are more of us than there are of them, and we will not let them forget it. Some people asked me, what does this have anything to do with workers? Others told me to stay out of international affairs and focus on labor issues. Let me say this now. The peace and well-being of workers anywhere is a concern of workers here. And when the rights of others are under attack, including students who are workers, including students who are the children of workers, then our rights as workers are also under attack. If the university administrators can get away with trampling on your rights to protest and dismissing your legitimate demands, then employers everywhere will feel emboldened to do the same thing to us as workers at the bargaining table and the picket line. And we're not going to stand for that. Indeed, we have seen that happen in labor disputes where they put out trespassing orders against workers, where they attempt to put in injunctions against workers. And we, as workers in Ontario, say no more. We know it's a labor worker issue because so many workers have children who are students, myself included, who work hard to pay the skyrocketing tuition and who deserve to be safe on their campus. We know it's a labor issue because so many students are also workers. You are working and you are studying at the same time. You are members of trade unions, and we thank you. We know it's a labor issue because billions of our tax dollars get spent on military budgets and weapons of war instead of healthcare and education. We know it's a labor issue because the cost of living crisis, which is hurting workers everywhere, is made worse by war. Political instability and escalating violence in the region disrupt global supply chains and drive up costs. I want to conclude by returning to my original point. Solidarity matters. It fuels the work you're doing here in the encampment just as it fuels the work that we do in the labor movement. Solidarity is about seeing and indeed feeling the humanity of others in ourselves. Solidarity is a verb. It requires action.
If you look behind me, you're going to see workers who come out of many industrial plants across this GTA. They represent the diversity of our city, the GTA, and I want to tell you that when people say, oh, it's the leadership of the unions, it's a president here, it's a president there, well, that's not how we do things. And when this issue came up, we visited, as I said, we talked to people, we understood, we had the issue discussed at our area council where members from every workplace come once a month. And not only that, we, just a week and a half ago, reiterated our support for this encampment in light of what this university has been doing, the disrespect that has shown the students, and we are here because we will give you the solidarity that you need. This university was organized in the United Steelworkers 25 or more years ago. I was a rank and file organizer, and people on this campus wanted the right to grievance, health and safety protection, anti-harassment, but you know what they wanted most of all? The right to dignity and respect. And there is no dignity, there is no respect if you are not allowed to hold a political viewpoint. Our union and other unions are prepared to be with you until the end when you win this struggle. And I know we as trade unionists know sometimes struggle is tough, but you're doing it for the right reasons, you're standing up for justice, you're standing up for principle, and we will stand with you. And there is a slogan that we have when we have our strikes and we have our struggles, is one day longer, one day stronger.
I'm here on behalf of the nearly 200,000 members of APSU SEPO, some of whom work on this campus and support you. We are standing in solidarity because we know that if they come for you in the morning, they're coming for us at night. We know that the roots of colonialism are worker issues. We know that genocide affects every single one of us, and we know that it is students who are leading the way in this church to stop it, and it is workers who must be here alongside you in solidarity. And what I will say, my friends, my comrades, my siblings, is that what history has taught us over and over again, it is that when students and workers rise together, we topple governments. When students and workers rise together, we change the world and we make it a better place for each and every one of us. It is the young workers within APSU SEPO who have been doing the heavy lifting of educating our workers around the issues of Palestine. And it is our responsibility as as trade unionists to make sure we stand up and criticize governments, university administrations, and one another when we are not holding each other to account and doing the right thing. Our job is to put our bodies in between you and whatever the administration brings at you. If the police come, we will be your human shields. We will be your line of defense. And I promise you that we will be here for as long as it takes to make sure that you are safe and that those simple demands are met.
The only power we have is our solidarity with one another. It is the only thing that makes power bend and makes change. It is our solidarity with one another. We will not stop, we will not rest, it's close. We will not stop, we will not rest, it's close. The problem isn't the protests, it's what they're protesting. It goes against what our country is funding. Block the barricade until Palestine is free. Block the barricade until Palestine is free. When I was 7, I learned a lesson from Cuban Eazy-E. What was it again? Oh yeah, fuck the police.